Hi, I'm James, and today on Spooks Tools Restoration I'm going to be restoring an old chair my father dumped on me. Now this pile of old wood, would you believe, is the chair. Most people would use it as firewood, but I've been asked to restore it by my dad, so I'm going to have a go. We'll start with the back and work forwards. Right, we sorted it into 4 piles. This must be the seat, which goes like that. Needs a lot of work on that, with some foam backing and a cover. I might have to spend some money on that, but the rest just need putting together. So these are the legs. Not sure how, something's broken there. This is the stay that goes between the legs. This is the framework of the legs, attaching them to the back, and the back which goes something like this. Now we can tell it's handmade because there are no screws, glue or nails, and this is obviously either steam bent but well crafted. I'm not sure how to date it, maybe Edwardian perhaps. Let's start attaching the back together. I'm going to try and not use glue, but I'm not an expert in handmade chairs. So this piece is the backbone, and with a stave at the bottom, this would grasp together and would be very strong, held in by this piece, cross piece. But it's a little loose in here, so we'll just make it fit together. First we'll give it a light sanding down. As regards fitting this in here, there's a slight gap there, so we're just going to shave a little bit off and gouge the inside of that out. We got a much tighter fit now, so we can try and put the top on. So the top looks like it had dowels in it, so we need to make or find some fairly thick dowels. Luckily, one of the stays from the chair is broken both ends, so we can chop this out. Let's sand it down, and it's a perfect fit in there. And we've made another one for the other side, so we can put the back together. Now in theory that should hold together without any glue, but unfortunately it's very worn, so we're going to have to resort to using a wood glue. So now this part is glued together, we need to put a cross piece in here. But unfortunately we've chopped it up to use it as dowels in the top piece. So I found an old snooker cue, or what used to be a snooker cue, in the shed, and we can use this to give tension to the lower legs. Right, we've made a nice pole to fit in there. Unfortunately, while tensioning it, the top of the chair broke. So we're going to have to glue this again together. That is clamped up and ready to dry. We could tension this in so we can all dry at once. We've got a bit of rope on there. Now we can move on to the legs. Now I've noticed with this leg that the dowel is broken there. I'll have to gouge that out. And now that's gouged out, we need to make another dowel. Right, that's the front legs sorted. I've got the centerpiece on and a new peg here. Now we can move on to the seat. Now this is in a right old state, but the back does join together, so we can just glue that. I think it's best with the front piece to remove that and make some new joints to go in this piece and that piece. I've cheated there and put 3 little pegs in there so we can glue this part together. So we've carved a little wedge to go in there like this. We can glue that in like so, and then we can move on to the back and just slot that in there. We've carved another little wedge to fit in there. Now the seat is coming on, we can leave that to dry overnight along with the back. Right, 24 hours later, now we can take those laces off and get this into here, glue it on and wait another 24 hours. Now the joints are dry, we can infill with some wood filler. The back is also dry, but I think we're going to have problems with the crack there. So I'm going to just pass a nut and bolt through there, maybe put some staples on and fill all this gaps with wood filler to strengthen it. Now the seat is ready, we can put the front legs on. I'm going to make sure these dowels fit in there. That's okay, but this one has been repaired, so we need to drill down so that the peg fits in there. Right, that looks like a firm fit for the front, so we can now put the seat onto the back, and the seat simply slots in like so. We have to make sure that all these legs and cross pieces line up together before we glue it. So we have 2 long, 2 short cross pieces. The long go at the bottom, the short on the second round, whittling them down very slightly. Right, we sorted that out and it's all fitting together, it's staying together by its own power. So let's test it standing up. It's very wonky. The seat is straight. I think the back isn't long enough and the back legs aren't splayed out enough, and that's causing that imbalance. Slanting forward this way, and it's wonky. However, it does hold my weight. There isn't much of a rock. So I'm happy that we're going to glue it together and wait another 48 hours. Now I've noticed that the seat does not fully fit the back because of the way we've fitted it together. There's a bit of stress there on the crack point. But I have noticed screw holes that will hold the back in. That was probably put in at a later date to strengthen it. So I should do the same. That's all fitted together. It's a nice tight fit. We're now ready to put some webbing on the bottom of the chair that will hold the foam and cushion in place. So what I'm going to do is tack on 2 inches of cloth in a cross-hatching web using some strong cloth. Couldn't find any hair, so the shops don't sell it anymore. So we're going to cut the cloth in approximately 2-inch strips. Right, we've cut 8 strips of webbing that protrude over the edge of the seat, each side. So what we're going to do is tack one end here, pass it under the seat, over to the other side and tack it there. And do that 4 times here, here and here. For this I'm using some 1/4 or 1/2 inch tacks. Then we're going to stretch the cloth and hold it down and nail it in. Actually, I'm going to nail down the excess cloth here to provide some extra support. I can trim off the excess cloth. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing for the horizontal by wrapping a cloth around the edge, then weaving it through vertical flats. So we have a weave. I have 2 types of foam that came in some packing in the post. This is a lot denser. This can be the base that fits in the cavity here, and this is lighter, so this can go on top. So we're going to cut this roughly to shape as your base. Now, same for the top part. We're not going to stuff it in the hollow, we're going to leave it overhanging to provide some extra cushion. Now, I've noticed that this front piece is a little loose from when I've been banging. The cracks have appeared there, so I'm using a solution of some screws in there and there with some glue in between. Now for the seat cover, I couldn't find any leather in the shop, so I found this pretty golden pillowcase with a fleur-de-lis design. We could split it apart and tack it down with some pretty brass tacks. Now we can simply cover the front piece with that, and for these corners we just need to rip apart here a few inches and make sure that sponge is aligned, and I can start tacking along the edge. So we started by inserting 2 nails here. Now we're going to stretch the fabric slightly and put another 2 in on the other side, about 1 inch apart, close to the edge. And then we do the same at the back, and again at the front. And we're going to stretch the sides, and again stretch the side, and then continue on until all the pins are in. So we're going to trim that off there, tack down all the edges all along the edge and trim it off. We've got a problem here with a round corner and a square cloth, so we're just going to trim it off until it fits. Right, that's the bottom all tacked down and the corners in place. It's a bit untidy, but nobody looks on a chair today. So now we want to tack in some golden tacks along the edge. I'm going to put them right in the middle. Okay, I'm pretty much finished with the chair. All the backing is well tacked together. All the sides of the canvas are trimmed in there. And we've got the edge tacks, and it's looking pretty tidy. What we need to do now is sand off, put a bit of colouring on the wood filler, paint it with some linseed oil, and re-glue these bottoms, which unfortunately came out with all the banging. Right, we're ready to paint it down with some linseed oil. Okay, the linseed dressing certainly brought out the character in the wood, and that is what this chair would be deemed if it was sold at auction, or something with a bit of character. We'll just leave it like that and see what old Dad thinks of it. I doubt we'll get him on video. A restoration of an Edwardian chair. A chair fit for a king.